In this video, I'm going to show you how I built this dust collection cart incorporating a dust separator. And if you're wondering what the heck it is, you're in the right place. A dust separator prevents fine dust and large debris from reaching and clogging up your shop vacs filter by creating a cyclone inside where the dust gets trapped. But lugging around both a vacuum and the separator is cumbersome. Combining the two into a single dust cart along with storage for all of your accessories and hoses is a huge time saver. I can attach one hose to many different tools, all of which are plugged into the same switch box, which automatically turns on the vacuum when a power tool is turned on. It's been a great addition to my shop, so let me show you how I did it. I begin by breaking down 3/4 inch plywood for the two sides and back of the cart. As always, safety first in my shop with my glasses on my head and dust mask on my table saw, but at least I'm wearing ear protection. I'm such a bonehead sometimes. I clean up all the edges to final dimensions on the table saw. As a side note, I pulled all of this plywood out of a scrap bin, which may or may not have resembled a dumpster, at my local big box store. This comes into play in a couple minutes, so stay tuned. I want to add a radius to the front corners of the two sides to soften the edge. Pro tip, if you don't have a fancy radius jig, grab something round like a roll of tape, coffee cup, or paint can and trace the curve onto your project. Finish by cutting with the jigsaw and I'll clean up the cut with a sander during assembly. I'll be using a set of these Rockler corner clamp jigs to securely hold the side and back panels at a precise 90-degree angle, freeing up my hands to drive in the fasteners. These are super helpful if you don't have extra hands in the shop to help. Since this is just a workshop dust cart, we won't be using any fancy joinery here, just glue and countersunk screws. I place the side into the corner jig and lock it down nice and tight. I use a Craig corner clamp on the top to help secure the boards at a 90-degree angle. The side had quite a bit of bow in it, so I used a couple bar clamps to pull the side in flush and tight to the back panel. We're now ready to drill and countersink some screw holes about 6 to 8 inches apart. As I take a quick coffee break and catch up on some reading, I want to take a few seconds to welcome you here, and I'm so excited you found my channel. I make how-to videos about home improvement and woodworking projects, and hopefully I entertain you along the way. If these types of projects interest you, subscribe below and click the bell so you won't miss my new videos when posted. It will let me know that I'm doing something helpful by creating these tutorials, and it's free, and you can unsubscribe and crush my feelings at any time if you change your mind. Enough screwing around, let's get back to work. Next up, measure outside edge to create a bottom panel. A wise scholar once said, "Measure twice and cut once." I obviously missed this lesson in class. Once I recut the bottom to the correct dimensions, I apply some glue and line up the bottom panel flush with the back since I know it's already square. And I fasten with countersunk screws. Now I can square up the front and lock it down. The plans for the project, which are available in the link below, are made to accommodate most shop vacs. I'm using a rigid 12-gallon vacuum which has a high CFM at a very reasonable price. I cut the top shelf, which will hold the dust separator, and positioned it, leaving enough room for a storage drawer underneath. Using Craig drawer slide jigs as an extra set of hands, I apply glue and slide into place. Using a brad nailer, I tack into place from outside, followed with a couple countersunk screws on all sides. Thinking ahead, I used a single piece of ply for both the drawer front and the shelf front so I'd have continuous grain from top to bottom. With some glue and a little friendly persuasion, the shelf front is tacked in place. At this point, it was getting late and decided to do a light sanding to all surfaces and applied a coat of water-based poly for protection and let it dry overnight. I didn't think you really wanted to watch poly dry, so I did this off camera. You're welcome. Building drawers can be a daunting task for beginners because measurements can be confusing. I'll break this down into simple steps. Start by measuring the cabinet opening. For simplicity purposes, we'll be using 20 inches. Next, we need to consider the width of the drawer slides. Most full extension slides are a 1/2 inch wide, and since we need 2, subtract 1 inch from your total cabinet opening, leaving us with 19-inch total drawer width. The drawer will be assembled using pocket hole screws, which typically means the front and back of the drawer box will be inset or sandwiched between the sides. This requires us to subtract 2 times the thickness of the drawer material for the front and back pieces of the drawer box. First, set the distance from the block to the blade to be the whole drawer width required, or in our previous example, 19 inches. Next, place 2 pieces of scrap drawer material against the stop block, giving 2 times the thickness. You're left with the exact width needed for your front and back drawer sides no matter what wood thickness is being used. If you don't have a stop block, measure the thickness of the wood used in the drawer box times 2 and subtract that from your total width. I'll be putting 6 pocket holes in each of the front and the back pieces of the drawer box. Pocket holes are put in the front and back pieces of the drawer because you'll never see them once installed. I know some people hate pocket holes, but in all honesty, they are strong, easy to use, and don't require expensive equipment. For shop furniture, pocket holes are a perfect choice. If you prefer fancy dovetails, don't let me hold you back. I'll give myself a selfish plug. If you're interested in building a Craig Jig workstation with storage just like mine, well, you're in luck. I'll have a build video and build plans available shortly. The description of this video will be updated with the link once available. Make sure you subscribe and click the bell icon so you get notifications once new videos are released. I'll also be doing giveaways on new plan releases via Instagram. Don't forget to follow me there. Using wood glue on the ends, I take the front and butt it against the side and clamp it in place. The pocket holes will face outside for both the front and the back pieces of the drawer assembly. Then I secure with pocket hole screws. I do this 3 more times, working my way around until the drawer frame is complete. I'm checking that the box remains as square as possible, but if it's a little off, we can correct that when attaching the drawer bottom. I'm using 1/4 inch plywood for the drawer bottom. After marking the outside dimensions of the drawer, I cut the bottom panel to size on the table saw. Then using glue and brad nails, I fasten in place. Countersunk screws could also be added for additional holding strength. This is also the time to square up the drawer box by ensuring the drawer box is flush to the bottom on all 4 edges and fastening in place. Adding a slight chamfer to the left and right sides of the bottom hides the bottom panel from view, making it look like it's inlaid. It's a small detail but not required for function. This secret tip is just between us though. Shh. There's many different methods for installing drawer slides. I'm using full extension ball bearing slides and installing them with the help of these Craig drawer slide jigs, mainly because I wanted to try the jigs. The slide rests nicely on the jig, freeing up my hands. This drawer front will be inset, so I measure the thickness of the drawer front and transfer that mark. The front of the drawer slide will be aligned to that mark, allowing the drawer to fully close and have the drawer front be flush with the cabinet. My plans go into detail of how to attach drawer slides using the horizontal and vertical slots, which allow for the small adjustments if needed. Leave a comment below if you'd like for me to make a video detailing the different types of slides and installation methods. I added a 1-inch spacer below the slide and then turned the jig around and clamped it down. The drawer box rests on the jig, allowing me to attach the drawer member of the slide. After using this jig, I found it useful, but I would attach the drawer differently next time. Since the drawer member of these full extension slides actually release from the cabinet member, I think it would have been much easier to attach the drawer off of the cabinet. If your slides don't have releases, these jigs are extremely helpful. Next, we have to install the drawer front. We start off by marking where you want to have your drawer pulls and drill the holes, which we will use to temporarily fasten the drawer front to the drawer. Grab your grandma's favorite deck of playing cards and take some out. Place your drawer front tight against one side of the cabinet. Using your cards, squeeze as many as will fit in the opening on the other side. Take this stack of cards and divide in half. Insert half the stack on the left side, push the drawer front tight against the cards, and insert the second half of cards on the right side. Congratulations, you now have a perfectly centered drawer front in the drawer opening. For the top reveal, I use the same amount of cards as the side, so I end up with equal spacing all around. I use wood screws through the handle holes to temporarily hold the drawer front in place. That's a great shot of my arm. We're all set to permanently attach the drawer by removing your playing cards, your professional woodworking spacers, by attaching through the back of the drawer using wood screws. Remove the temporary screws. Drill the handle holes through the drawer box. And install the drawer pull. I'm using a vacuum switch box which will automatically turn the vacuum on and off once the power tool is turned on and off. I find this to be an extremely helpful tool, especially because I keep my dust collection in between my miter station and my table saw. This way I don't have to walk back and forth when turning each of them on. I drill a hole in the back to feed the plug through, which will be plugged into the wall receptacle. Next, I'm adding a heavy-duty power box which will plug into the vacuum switch and will allow me to plug in 4 different power tools which will all automatically turn on the vacuum. Using a piece of paper or painter's tape, you can easily shade over the mounting holes and then transfer it to the side where it's going to be mounted. I make sure my sketch is level, mark where each of the screws need to be located, and then install the screws. I drill another hole to run the cord from the power box into the vacuum switch box. The last hole I drill is to feed the vacuum cord through the top shelf into the vacuum switch box. I'm using the Rockler dust separator, which connects to my shop vac with the standard hose that came with the vacuum. Finally, I add a double hook to hold my two hoses neatly wrapped up, ready for use. All of the products I used in this video, including the wraps, are linked below. Also linked below are detailed build plans if you're interested in building this project yourself. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to support my channel. I'm out of here. See you on the next video.